Hello, LifePoint. How are you? Today is Wednesday, and it's our third day of our devotional series in preparation for communion. And each day this week, we have been looking at a different part of our life that we can surrender to God and ask God to work through. Today, we are examining our eyes. There's a text from Jesus that I want to share with you today that brings many truths to this area of our life. Matthew chapter 7 verse 3 and 4 says, "Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, 'Let me remove the speck from your eye,' when all the time there is a plank in your own eye?" In relationships and in life, if we want to go through life in a healthy manner with good relationships and healthy relationships, it's very important not that we look at what others are doing and not that we judge what others are doing, but that we first stand in front of a mirror and look at self. I think that's what Jesus is saying. He's saying you're trying to remove a speck of dust from your brother's eye while you're failing to see this huge plank coming out of your eye, right? It's so obvious and everyone can see it, but maybe you're failing to see it. When I first took driving lessons, one of the first things that stuck with me was that I could use the mirrors, I could turn my head to the left and to the right to look at what things were around me. I thought I had all the angles and perspectives covered, but one of the things my driving instructor taught me was that I would always have a blind spot. There would only be one angle or one part of the vehicle that I was not going to be able to see whether I turned around or whether I used the mirrors. And so I had to make sure and I had to account for that blind spot as I was driving my vehicle on the road. And if I ignored the blind spot, then I would have issues, I would have accidents on the road, and I want to prevent that from happening. And so in life, in our relationships, in our walk with God, we have blind spots. And I think the only way that we can spot those blind spots is by first looking in the mirror. Looking in the mirror and asking God to help us examine us, to reveal those blind spots, to reveal those defects in our character, the lack of patience, the pride, the arrogance, the selfishness, and to begin to submit that to God. I believe it's also important to have good relationships, good friends, and good family members that will be honest with us in a loving way, will also tell us and show us blind spots that we can't see. And I think that as we're looking at ourselves and people are helping us see the things in our lives that we can surrender to God, the more we begin to allow God to remove that plank from our own eye. And Paul says in 1 Corinthians that if we were to truly examine ourselves, if we were truly to judge ourselves, there would be no need for God to judge us. Think about that for a moment. If we were truly to see ourselves who we really are, there would be no need for God to judge us. So it is possible to truly have that clear picture of who we are, but we need to be willing to go through that tough process. Look, I know it's tough to look in front of the mirror because we don't at times want to see the negative things about us. We don't want to see the things that remind us of who we really are, our defects or our sin. But if we're ignoring that part and if we put that blind spot and we leave that blind spot on, sooner or later we'll be in an accident. Sooner or later we'll crash with other people and we'll butt heads and just lead to a negative aspect of life. But God wants us to have a full life, a happy life, a joyous life, a life of balance. And the only way that it's possible if we allow God to reveal the parts of our lives that we can surrender to Him. The truth is that I can't change you and you can't change me. As a matter of fact, I believe I don't even have the power to change myself. But I do believe in the one that has the power to change me and to change all of us if we're willing to allow Him into our lives and into our hearts. So today we can take a moment to pray, to read the text below and just to meditate on those words and to begin to allow God to reveal the blind spots. And as He reveals those, the most important thing we can do is to surrender it back to Him. Say, God, I'm struggling with forgiveness. I want to submit this to you. God, I'm struggling with patience. I want to submit this to you. God, I'm struggling with self-esteem. I want to surrender this to you. And so as we see, I think we need to release it back to God and say, God, I need you to tell me who I really am. I need you to show me who you want me to become. And so as we see, we release back to God, because when we release it back to God, we acknowledge that He has power, and we acknowledge that He is who He says He is, and that He wants to be with us. And so today I want to invite you to take a couple of minutes to pray, meditate on those texts, and begin to allow God to reveal the parts of your life that He wants you to surrender to Him. I hope you have a wonderful day, and that you tune back tomorrow to our 4th day devotional in preparation from communion. Have a wonderful day.